In the annals of African colonization, the role of white women is often ignored, overshadowed by narratives of conquest and exploitation by white men. Yet, the influence wielded by white women, particularly through marriage and the creation of mixed-race offspring, was a significant aspect of colonialism in Africa. Edward A. Tiriakian's work, White Women in Darkest Africa, Marginals as Observers in No Woman's Land, sheds light on this overlooked dimension of colonial history. Tiriakian explores how white women, often portrayed as passive observers to their male counterparts, actively participated in the colonial project through their intimate relationships with African men. These interracial unions were not merely romantic but strategic alliances, serving the interests of European colonial powers. By marrying local elites or influential individuals, white women gained access to networks of power and privilege, facilitating the expansion of colonial authority into African societies. The children born of these unions occupied a unique position within the colonial hierarchy, often enjoying certain privileges denied to their purely indigenous counterparts. They were educated in European institutions, given opportunities for advancement, and were elevated in social status even above their own fathers. The presence of mixed-race populations in Africa not only blurred racial boundaries, but also reinforced colonial ideologies of racial superiority. However, the existence of mixed-race communities also posed a challenge to the rigid racial hierarchies enforced by colonial regimes. Many mixed-race individuals, marginalized by both European and African societies, became vocal critics of colonial oppression, advocating for social justice and equality. In the book, The Psychology of Colonialism, French psychologist Octave Manoni gives a first-hand account of the behavior of European women in the colonies. Manoni suggested that the racialism of the European woman in the colonies had several key components: overcompensation for an inferiority complex, the desire to show her superiority over the Malagasy or native woman, and in issuing tyrannical orders to the native males, an unconscious urge to dominate a male figure.
Like men because of the power dynamic, because white women have never had any power over men in their lives. Because obviously all the white men in their lives have always had all the power over them. So white women have whiteness over black men. And obviously to be in any sort of like control feels good, especially when you're used to never being in control. White women feel safe with black men, not only because of the hypermasculinity that they believe black men exhibit, but because of the lightness and power they hold over black men. This is why also white women can still be racist and be with black men. And be like a conservative white woman who like married to a black man. And this is why white women love their black sons and hate their black daughters. Black sons give you access to the patriarchy, they give you power, whereas black daughters don't.
In the present day, the echoes of colonialism reverberate through the streets of Africa, manifesting in new forms and dynamics. One such phenomenon is the continued role of white women in shaping the continent's social landscape through interracial relationships. Just as in the colonial era, white women in Africa today engage in relationships with African men, unconsciously perpetuating the colonial agenda. While these relationships are often portrayed as expressions of love and individual choice, they usually reflect broader power dynamics inherited from the colonial past. Behind closed doors, beneath the facade of harmony, lies a power dynamic rife with unspoken expectations and hidden agendas. By subtly asserting control through manipulation and coercion, these relationships often enter into a cycle of stagnation, leading to built-up emotional resentment. While avoidance of conflict is perceived as beneficial in the short term, it's believed that suppression of authentic expression can have detrimental effects on personal growth in the long term. Thus, while the forms of colonization may have evolved, its legacy persists. reminding us that the past continues to shape the present in profound and often unexpected ways. The presence of mixed-race families in Africa today is a reminder of the enduring legacies of colonialism, where notions of race and identity remain intertwined with issues of power and privilege. Mixed-race individuals in contemporary Africa navigate complex terrain, grappling with questions of belonging and identity in societies shaped by colonial histories. Tiriakian's exploration of the role of white women in African colonization invites us to reevaluate conventional narratives of colonial history, recognizing the agency and influence exerted by marginalized actors in shaping the course of empire in Africa.